What is up? What is going on, everybody? I am back with a Seattle Mariners video. It's felt like it has been a minute since I've uploaded some Mariners talk. If you guys are new here, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button. Also, like the video. Those are just quick, free, easy ways to help support my channel and help my channel grow. So if you guys could do that for me, if you're new here, if you're not new here, still hit the like button. But I appreciate all the support you guys have given me, and thank you for sticking with me. I know I've had some Seahawks football videos, some Coyotes, some hockey videos up. So I appreciate you guys sticking with me. I'm just still finding out, where I want the channel to go. We're obviously talking Mariners. That's the main focus. But I do enjoy other sports, and I like talking about it. It's therapeutic for me to talk about it. So I just, eventually my goal is to have those videos on other channels, but this channel is not big enough yet to really have, to make other channels yet. Just financially, it's not a smart thing to do for my channel, but eventually that will be my goal. So, title of the video talking about the Mariners starting pitching needs. Now, one thing, a topic that's come up a bunch for the Mariners on Twitter, wherever you look, is talking about the Mariners trading from their starting pitching depth to add offense. And it makes sense. The Mariners do have pretty good, when fully healthy, the Mariners starting pitching depth is good. Luis Castillo, George Kirby, Logan Gilbert, Robbie Ray, Bryan Woo, Bryce Miller, Marco Gonzalez, Emerson Hancock. There is a lot of depth there. So it automatically makes sense for us to go, well, let's trade from a strength to help I put weakness in quotes. I don't think the offense is a weakness, but it's, I think, something we'd all like to see take a bit of a step forward next season. So it obviously makes sense why people would think that and suggest trades based on that. I am here to tell you, though, that not only should the Mariners not look to be trading from their starting pitching depth, I think the Mariners should be adding to their starting pitching depth. Right now, if the season were to begin tomorrow, you're looking at a rotation of Castillo, Gilbert, Kirby, fine with that, and then Bryce Miller and Bryan Woo. Now, Bryce Miller and Bryan Woo took some nice steps forward in their development in 2023. I was impressed with both of them. And they came into tough spots when they weren't really expected to be in this rotation. They stepped up and made some very clutch performances for the Seattle Mariners. With that said, I am not ready to just hand over rotation spots to either one of them for 2024. Bryce Miller, you go look at his baseball savant page. Truthfully, it's not very pretty. Now, the fastball was great. Good spin on it, swing and miss on it. It is a legitimately good pitch. Problem is for Bryce Miller, there's not a lot else to go along with that fastball. He could develop that. We saw that with Logan Gilbert, kind of a similar profile, and Logan developed that splitter and has taken a step forward to become a legitimate top of the line starting pitcher. That doesn't mean that Bryce Miller can't survive with what he has right now, but he's never, with just that one pitch, it's going to be very hard to take that step forward. And we saw a little bit of that down the stretch. Miller got off to a really hot start when he first came up, still had some quality starts and did a nice job for this team, but wore down a little bit in September. And I think there were some starts where he was fortunate to get out of there without giving up more damage. Now, Bryan Woo's savant page looks a lot better than Bryce Miller's. I think Woo has a little bit larger arsenal to work with. But again, 2 Tommy John surgeries for Bryan Woo. This was his max in terms of innings that he's ever thrown in a season. And then he did have some struggles down the stretch and against left-handed hitters in particular. Now, I think he got a little better with that towards the end of the year, which is good to see. And I like the profile. And again, Woo did a nice job this year coming up when he wasn't expected to and pitched well. He was murder on right-handed hitters this season as well. So it's a good profile. But again, you're talking about someone that are you going to be able to pencil in Bryan Woo for 32 starts for someone that just this last year threw a match in their innings limit? Sorry, I had to pause the video for a second. But yeah, Bryan Woo, I don't think you can pencil him in for 32 starts, 200 innings next season. You're going to need someone that can, possibly make some spot starts for him, in 2024 if you pencil him into the rotation. The other thing, and I've had people say, well, then look to trade Miller and Woo for an impact bat or Hancock or whatever. Here's the thing on that. those guys are not going to get you an impact bat that you can plug into this lineup in 2024 that's going to make an immediate impact. Do I think Miller, Wu, and Hancock have trade value? Absolutely. Absolutely. They would get you something. They'd probably get you a nice piece. But if you want an impact bat, you want someone that is a difference maker in this lineup, you would have to trade Logan Gilbert or George Kirby. Even Castillo with that contract, I don't quite know what you would get in return. He obviously has trade value, but Kirby and Gilbert are the big two in terms of, being able to add an impact bat in this lineup. So if you want someone that you can put in there between Julio, Cal Raleigh, and whoever else in this lineup, you're going to have to trade Logan Gilbert or George Kirby. Bryan Woo and Bryce Miller are not going to get you that player. Neither is Emerson Hancock. Hancock's pitched 10 innings in the big leagues. I know they're legitimate prospects. They are. I'm not knocking those guys, but they are not going to get you an impact player day one. Doesn't mean they wouldn't get you something interesting, but you're not going to get a bat that's going to slide right into the middle of the order. Now, on top of that, I talked about all that. Your depth is not that great right now. It's really not. Now you've got those five, and listen, worst case scenario, fine. Like Bryce Miller and Bryan Woo can make starts for you, but Emerson Hancock's hurt. Robbie Ray, Jerry Dipoto talked about it. All-Star break is probably best case scenario. So you're going to be 90 games into the season before you even get Robbie Ray back. And who knows what you're going to get from Robbie Ray at that point. Don't know Marco Gonzalez's injury and his status. And even if Marco is healthy, and I've been a big Marco Gonzalez advocate, I think he is a solid back-end starting pitcher, but he's a number 5 starter. He's not going to change the game necessarily for this team. It would have been nice to have him for depth. Even this season, I would have liked it. And I'm not against Marco being on this team next year, but your answer can't be, excuse me, as I'm losing my voice. Your answer to this rotation cannot be, oh, we got Marco. That's not good enough. That's not going to be enough. I think the Seattle Mariners need to add to their starting rotation this year. For a team that is trying to get to a World Series, or at minimum a playoff spot, we can say playoffs, whatever your goals are for the team, they're yours. Let's just say for the playoffs, I don't think having Bryce Miller and Bryan Woo throw 170 innings apiece is the best case scenario for a team that's trying to get in. I think you need to add. And also, I don't really care if the starting pitching is a strength and the offense is a weakness, however you want to word it. Additions are additions, and a run saved is just as good as a run earned. If the Mariners want to add a couple starting pitchers and beef up the pitching rotation, that is absolutely fine. You don't have to just add impact players to a unit that is maybe the weaker of the two. You can add to strengths and make them even stronger, and that can help you in the season as well. So you might be asking, Jay, then how do they do that if you're not willing to trade, some of these guys? How do you add that player? Well, I'm not against trades, but I think you got to go to the lower levels of the minor league system to do it. The farm system took a big step forward this year. You've got some legitimate impact bats. Now, they're not necessarily knocking on the door for the major league team, but your farm system has been replenished a little bit, and a lot of prospects took a step forward. I think you have to go down there. I think a team that's trying to take that step forward to win and win now, I think you trade from the lower levels of the minors if you're going to make trades to get those impact players. I don't want to trade major league ready guys to add major league ready guys. I don't know if that's necessarily an upward movement or if it's just a flat movement sometimes when you do that. Now, I want to be clear. I don't say no to any trades. Nobody is ever off limits. I think that's stupid for general manager ownership to not explore trades for any player, even Julio. Like the phone is ready. Like if someone can offer me something that blows me away, that's fine. So I'm not saying I'm not saying there's no circumstance where you don't trade Gilbert or Kirby. Maybe there is. Maybe a team calls you and is offering you, I don't know what it would be, but a deal that you cannot turn down. So I'm not saying never, but the odds of it being something that's truly it may help the offense, but then your starting pitching takes a step back. That's what I'm saying. You're not making moves this way. You're maybe going up a little bit, but not enough to make a huge impact. Fine, you get that bat, but now your rotation is even weaker than it may have been. There's free agency. There are some interesting pitching names in free agency. I know Blake Snell's name is going to be brought up a bunch. I would love it. I'm all for it. Blake Snell's from the area. I think he'd like to play for the Mariners. I don't see the Mariners handing out a third contract for a starting pitcher, a third big contract for a starting pitcher. They did the Robbie Ray deal. They did the Luis Castillo deal. I do not see them making a third deal, big money for a starting pitcher. That's just my take on it. I don't think they're going to do that. But you do have Eduardo Rodriguez, Erod, who has an opt-out for 2024. And it would be interesting to add a legitimate left-handed pitcher in this rotation. I don't care too much about the handedness. I just want good players. But it wouldn't be the worst thing to have a left-handed pitcher. A good example, that would have been in the playoffs. Had the Mariners played the Twins, it would have been rough with all right-handed pitchers because that Twins lineup destroys right-handed pitching but struggles against lefties. And Eduardo Rodriguez would come in handy for something like that. Sonny Gray is someone that had a really nice year for Minnesota and may not quite get the big deal that a Blake Snell is going to get. Another name that's kind of interesting, Kyle Gibson. I know. You kidding me, Jay? Kyle Gibson's a back-end starter. He's right-handed Marco Gonzalez. To an extent, yes, although he's been healthier than Marco. He's going to give you 200 innings. He's the Chad innings eater. He's another one of those Chad innings eaters. He's going to get you 200 innings. He's going to give you a 4.4 ERA. And that might not be sexy, but not going to lie to you. I think that's better than right now what Bryce Miller is going to give you. I would say unless Miller can develop that second pitch, I think you're going to get more out of a Kyle Gibson than you would a Bryce Miller for a full season. I want to be clear on something. I'm not down on Miller and Wu. I'm not saying I'm giving up on those guys at all. They've got bright futures. I think they can be really good starting pitchers. I'm not saying get rid of them and don't have them there, but you can have them for depth sitting in the minors where if someone gets hurt, they can come up and they have to pitch 80 to 100 innings. You're comfortable with that. I hopefully Bryce Miller can develop that second pitch. And if they can prove it in spring training in the offseason, I'm all for it. Maybe they can be impact starting pitchers and be legitimate middle to top of the rotation guys. Maybe they can. But they haven't proven it yet. They prove that they're capable, but I think you can look for an upgrade there in the rotation. Like I said, the 2019 Mariners, let Bryce Miller and Bryan Woo go 200 innings. Let them do it. But in terms of a team that's trying to make that next step to the World Series, I think you can look to upgrade their rotation spots 100%. I think it is one of the reasons this team didn't get in the playoffs. We can talk about the offense, and they deserve some blame, but the starting pitching wore down in September. It 100% did. And yes, there is good depth when this unit is 100% healthy, but it's not. And it's not going to be for next year. Robbie Ray is all-star break at best. I'm not sure where Marco's at in development or in his rehab. Emerson Hancock, the same thing. This team needs to be adding starting pitching, not trading from it to try and get a bat and make lateral moves. Now, again, maybe someone offers you something that blows you away and it's not a lateral move. Fine. I don't know what the trade offers are going to be, but I'm looking to add starting pitching in the offseason, whether it's free agency, whether it's trading from the lower level minor leagues to do that. I think the Mariners need to be looking to add starting pitching, not trading from it and then making your offense maybe a little bit better, but costing your rotation as well. So that's my thoughts on it. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Should the Mariners be trading their pitching from offense? Should they be adding pitching? Should they just be looking to add offense and stay out of the trade? Let me know your guys' thoughts on the offseason that's ahead and everything with that. Remember to subscribe. Remember to like the video as well. And more Mariners content coming out, probably a Mariners video weekly and a World Series preview coming up soon as well. And stay tuned for more hockey and NFL content on my channel. Have a great day, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your day. Take care. And as always, go Mariners. Peace.